Every one of us had this moment where we were as hyped for something as one can get. To me, this moment came in early 2017 when the final trailer of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was released. Those jump cuts, the great landscape, and of course, this incredible music. Everything fits together so perfect. I've watched this trailer over 30 times by now, and it is still giving me goosebumps, even after playing the game for well over 100 hours. It gets everything right that I look for in one. It creates so much excitement for the game without really telling you anything. In its specific case, many of the flashback cutscenes that I used suggest that they would happen during the playtime. It was never predictable that those would actually only happen in the past, and the overall story of the game would rather be lacking. What it does create though is great. A puzzle full of pieces that are up to the viewer to put together into something. To me, it's a big part of my experience with the game and why I still like it a lot, even after it got downgraded to a tech demo in comparison to Tears of the Kingdom. Trailers that I still have in my mind show, but don't tell. It is an accomplishment to create a fun and an engaging trailer, and that's exactly what Arknights has come to achieve over time. Since I'm mostly interested in the lore, I will also talk about this very impact that trailers have on this part the most. Let's start with the trailer of the trailers, Lone Trail. Lone Trail creates an image of the sky being the limit. The countdown solidifies that Rhinelab will launch a rocket to go beyond this limit. And that's already where most of us, or at least I, stopped going further. The beam shooting into the sky was nothing more than the track that the rocket would leave behind, rather than the sky-splitting beam that it was in the end. The image of Terra achieving the groundbreaking task of a space rocket seemed more than enough for an anniversary event. Oh boy, how narrow did we all think. No one could have seen the lore revelations and the undertaking of Kristen coming. And the trailer did this on purpose, of course. Many have such a red herring that distracts us from the actual happenings. It's kind of funny rewatching PVs and trailers after the event and looking at the actual order of events. It has become a custom of mine to guess before reading an event what its content would be. Let's just leave out how close I got this far. And that's great. I am someone who hates to be spoiled about a game or its story. It always leads to those, oh, that's very cool, but I already know this effects. Unlike in my brief Pokemon phase, in which I knew 80% of the new Pokemon through trailers and promotions, I can always count on being as smart as before watching an Arknights trailer, in terms of the story, gameplay and bosses. The story twists being so good, and not everything being told, is only a part of never knowing the big picture. The most important piece in the trailers are the speed and order of information. There are so many lines and illustrations being shown at a fast pace that you rarely can grasp all of them, and if even, have no time at all to process them. And B, you never know who says which line when. The great thing about the way informations are layered is that it creates a guided vision in the viewer's head of what will happen. Let's look at two specific examples. Hortus the Escapissimo's story largely focused around the sagas in the Sanctimilarium and the conflicts around it. The trailer doesn't show a single sign of them though, instead showing that Arturia will be around. This makes her the obvious villain to be of the event in a showdown with Federico at the end. On the Seaborn side, Path of Life heavily focuses on Ulpianus much more than the actual event would. The trailer seems more like the greater dispute between him and Aegir, rather than Aegir's undertakings and struggles. But where did this all start? The one trailer that really started to push for real improvement for me was A Walk in the Dust. It gets even more clear here what the trailers always aim for, since the event is already built like it. 3 different time points leave less information for each one in the trailer, and we can make even less sense of the story of it. A Walk in the Dust was also the one where I feel like they started to get a grip of how to style, well, basically everything. Since the trailers got more and more complex. More pictures, more dialogue, and especially more background. The spinning of time, a banquet table, and nursery items are all details that A Walk in the Dust shows while relaying which country will host those details. Much of this only gets clear after reading the event. What is decorative and what has a more important meaning are rarely clear from the trailer itself. Regardless of being only decorative or not, details always fit the respective event's theme. Icy environments in Bake the Ice, the golden flow of music from Litanian, or the classic vault from Come Catastrophes or Wakes of Vultures. There's a reason why the design of Arknights in the game is awesome. Makes only sense that the trailers are no different here. Everything gets layered on top of each other and creates its own atmosphere. Almost like a lot of our character designs. So many bags, zippers and cloth seem redundant in a lot of designs, just like so much layering of effects and backgrounds in the trailers. It is this redundance that makes the game so characteristic though. Not everything was so great of course from the beginning. Looking back at Grani and the Knight's Treasure always shows how clunky and frankly not good the story writing was at first. The trailer is the same. Unlike the great flow that we have now, early trailers feel more like a slideshow that has been put together hastily. 6 stars getting a weapons animation before their reveal was not even a thing back then. Characters were just there. It is really cool to see the gradual polishing that they created over time. So if the trailers were not really good up until Walk in the Dust, why is it that I still have many great memories about Twilight of Volume 1? It is the same for why the Chapter 8 reveal is the only amazing trailer before Walk in the Dust. Up until now we've only been talking about the visuals. Arknights is in its core a music game though, so it's only fitting that it is often the best part in the trailers. Warring Flare is to this day one of the best themes we have. This is exactly how you hype for a finale. Quite often, the first thing you see in a trailer is nothing about the event. It's the logo and then the music starts already. The Black Forest Dwells a Dream instantly creates a dreary and uncomfortable atmosphere in this way, perfectly fitting Sami's overall vibe. Stultifera Navis doesn't raid at all before releasing the Ceased Chantings again. The music sets the tone. I still remember having the trailers of El Portador de Veluti and Path of Life the whole day running in the background, just because the music was not out yet besides there. Besides this, the background music is also a great way to divert expectations besides the pictures. Invitation to Wine was for the most part a rather chill event. The overly dramatic music suggested a whole different event though, with lots of action and drama happening in between. When talking about music in trailers, we of course can't overlook contingency contracts. CC trailers anyways don't do much besides showing the CC map theme, rewards and some risks. You don't watch it because of the information, but because of the hype for a new banger. I'm really glad they continued CC with Extinguished Sins, not only because I love CC's gameplay. Many of my favorite OSTs stem from the CCs, so having more on the way is always great. And with being there already, I want to talk about some of my favorite trailers so far. In the case of the CCs, this would be CC8 Dawnseeker for me. It hitting directly my music taste makes this a kind of a no-brainer. The music being so great most of the time is also the reason why I still like the Vigilo trailer so much, despite it doing not very much. Something that is outside of this musical pattern is to be continued. Not only do I absolutely love the idea of seeing how some NPCs continue their life after events, the design captures this also flawlessly. Every life can be its own book. Visualizing them as such in a bookstore is just a very great idea. The trailer is the perfect example of it framing an event story while leaving open speculations of its flow. Lone Trail is another obvious no-brainer. I don't even think I have to explain much why. Whoever talks shit about Control's wishes has definitely lost all rights to ever be right about anything. Coupled with the great overall design, this will stay one of the most prominent trailers until the very end, for sure. If I would have to rank main chapter trailers, I would have a hard time. Warring Flare and Absolved Will Be the Seekers could not have hyped an arc reaching its climax much better. I love all of the Arc 2 trailers though, excluding maybe Chapter 9. Chapter 12 has to be the best of them all though, by a smidge. The dramatic boss OST makes this chapter tense from the get-go. And I also think that, speaking retrospectively, me loving the overall gameplay of the chapter so much and having a couple hour blasting blast with the last hell stage due to the music contributed a lot to this being my favorite one. My absolute favorite trailer overall has to be what the Firelight casts. The atmosphere is dramatic from the start. The whole time there's the feeling of a flame being present, be it from the fire itself, the blurry vision effect, or the trimmed metal being burned. Music and pictures work perfectly together here. The solace of the bell comes with the gentle part of the music, and the new operators appear on beat, and it all ends with the warm embrace of the lobby theme. There's not a single moment that doesn't scream pure cinema here. It is always great to go back to old trailers after knowing the events, even more so when talking about the concept trailers. Each trailer makes the journey throughout the happenings in Terra so much more fun and exciting. With that being said, I'm curious to see what some of your favorites trailers are and why. Most of them are amazing and they always make a day better. They do exactly what they are supposed to do. Tease an event in a way that only makes it more exciting, with the combination of visuals and music. They are an art form in themselves and continue to evolve. There are few mornings that are greater than realizing a new trailer has dropped overnight on CN, hyping the next great event.